Some of you might find it quite strange that some people are not losing their mind during this time. Well, perhaps it's because there are many who have leaned into the power of prayer, because we understand one thing, and that is that this place is not our home. There's a story in the Gospel of Luke, the 15th chapter, that talks about another person who came to the realization that he was in a place that was not his home. This gentleman left his home with his pockets full of money, which soon was gone because he had squandered it in wild living. He had used all that had filled his pockets, all that the Father had given him. As a matter of fact, to receive that money, he had to consider his father as being dead. People all over this world have desired to receive things from God, but have now considered God as dead. No, not like Nietzsche said. We yet want the benefits. We want the healing. We want the deliverance. We want the blessing. We want the prayers answered. We want the breakthroughs. We want God to give me it now and give me it independent of himself. It's the same thing that this son wanted. He wanted his pockets full. He wanted to have exchanges. He wanted to spend his money on the things that he wanted. He squandered his wealth in wild living. He squandered his wealth with wild ideas. He squandered his wealth amongst wild people until his pockets were empty. The crowds were empty. His belly was empty. And he longed to fill his belly with the food that was offered in a dirty place. With each exchange, with each transaction that came from his pocket, he gave away one more little tangible piece of what the Father had put into his power. With each exchange, with each transaction, he gave away a little bit more of the Father. And the more of the Father he gave away, the more loss he experienced. The more of ourselves that we give away to the enemy, that we give away to sin, we give away more of what the Father has blessed us with, more of what the Father has graced us with, more of what the Father has desired for us to have, more of what the Father has planned and purposed for us. The more exchanges that we have with the sinful, with the wicked, the more that we squander, the more that we give away the tangible evidences of who we belong to. However, it would be sad if that's where the story ended. But this son, after having patted every pocket on his body, realized that there was one more pocket that he had not touched. This pocket was full of cents, not the kind that jingles, but the kind that tingles when a great idea comes to mind. You see, this sense was the sense that was in his mind. See, what had not been touched, the riches that had not been touched, was his remembrance of what life was like at his father's house. And the Bible says that he came to his senses. He had reached that pocket in his mind that brought him back to a place of remembering what life was like with the Father. And he said these most powerful words. He says, I'll go home. But the way that he was going to go home was not proud, was not arrogant, was not as though he was deserving, but he was going home humble. And we are here to say today that as we get past this COVID-19 and we come to our senses, let's not go back home arrogant, proud, or like we are deserving of anything. But let's remember that the home that we are desiring to go back to, the Father has already been waiting for us there. He's been waiting all along. The Bible says that the Father saw him in the distance and he ran out to meet him, and the son broken on the inside. He said, Dad, I've done terrible things and I have squandered all that you have given me. I have no tangible evidence of who you are. And the Father said, I'm holding all the tangible evidence. The Father said, you see, when I threw my arms around you, I wrapped my arms around the tangible evidence of who you are and whose you are. Then he called for the servants and he told them, kill the fatted calf, give my son his ring of gold, put a robe on him, and restore him back to where he was once before. We must celebrate. I want to encourage you that many of you have been so concerned about the COVID-19 pandemic. But I want to let you know today, come to your senses. Too many of us have squandered what the Father have given us, and we've treated him as though he does not exist. But he's here with welcoming arms. All it takes for us to have is the kind of sense that tingles, not the kind that jingles. And let that good sense move us towards right action, where we get home to the Father so that we can be restored. God bless you.